Good day everyone, and welcome to Mr. Creepy Skeleton Stories. This is a collection of horror stories featuring Hotel Creepy Experience. I hope you guys would enjoy, and please don't forget to subscribe. Get ready because we're going to start. Here we go. Story 1. It was supposed to be a much-needed family vacation in the picturesque mountains of Colorado. The Smith family eagerly arrived at the hotel they had rented for their week-long stay. Little did they know that their relaxing getaway would soon turn into a spine-chilling nightmare. As they stepped into the hotel lobby, a sense of unease washed over them. The walls were adorned with old paintings, their subjects eerily staring back at them. The receptionist, with her cold gaze and monotonous voice, handed them the keys to their room. Mr. Smith tried to ignore the unsettling feeling in his gut and brushed it off as mere imagination. The first night in the hotel, they were woken up by strange noises coming from the room next door. It sounded like whispers, but they couldn't make out any words. Mrs. Smith nervously clutched onto her husband's arm as they huddled together in fear. Their children, wide-eyed with fright, began to whimper. The following night, as they were all fast asleep, the children suddenly started screaming in terror. Mr. and Mrs. Smith rushed to their room, only to find their children in bed, trembling and pointing towards the corner of the room. A dark figure stood there, its eyes glowing red. It disappeared as quickly as it appeared, leaving the Smiths in a state of shock. Desperate for answers, they decided to investigate the hotel's history. Upon digging deeper, they discovered that the hotel had a dark past. It was rumored to have been built on an ancient burial ground, making it a hotspot for paranormal activities. Countless guests had reported encounters with spirits, shadows, and unexplainable phenomena. Determined to protect their family, the Smiths sought the help of a local paranormal investigator. The investigator, a seasoned expert in dealing with haunted locations, agreed to accompany them back to the hotel. Together, they delved deeper into the hotel's haunted history. They uncovered stories of the spirits that haunted the building, including a maid who had tragically died there and now roamed the halls. The investigator revealed that these restless spirits were trying to communicate with the living, seeking closure or revenge. Armed with this knowledge, the Smiths devised a plan to help the spirits find the peace they sought. They conducted a séance, reaching out to the spirits and offering them comfort and understanding. Slowly, the paranormal activities began to diminish, and a sense of tranquility settled over the hotel. As the Smith family prepared to check out, they couldn't help but feel a sense of gratitude towards the spirits they had encountered. The hotel that was once a place of fear had become a sanctuary for lost souls. They left with a newfound appreciation for the supernatural and a deeper understanding of the power of compassion. Story 2. It was the middle of the night, and the couple were on the open road. They had been traveling all night, hoping to make it to their destination in time for their week-long vacation. However, they had made a wrong turn somewhere and were now lost. The night was dark and oppressive, and the road seemed almost empty, with no one around to help them. They were miles away from any familiar landmarks, and their phone kept cutting out, making it impossible to find their way back. The couple were about to give up hope when, in the distance, they saw a small roadside motel. It was the only sign of life they had seen in hours and, desperate for rest, they decided to check in. The motel was run down and the receptionist was unfriendly and unhelpful, but the couple was too tired to really care. All they wanted was somewhere to sleep for the night. They made their way to their room, and the couple was shocked to find it was covered in cobwebs and smelled musty, as if it had been empty for years. They checked the bed for bugs and changed into their pajamas, but soon the exhaustion of the long night took over and they drifted off to sleep. The couple woke early the next morning and opened the curtains with trepidation. It was then they realized their mistake. The motel they had taken for shelter was located in the middle of a dark forest, with no sign of the road they had been traveling the night before. They had no idea how they had ended up there. All they knew was that the closer they looked around them, the more it felt like they were being watched. They had no idea what kind of danger they had stumbled upon. Now, it was impossible for them to get back to the road, as the forest seemed to stretch for miles. What was worse, it almost felt like something was following them. They had no choice but to stay in the motel, although they never felt safe. Every night, they had to barricade the door with furniture and make sure the windows were locked. It felt like they were constantly on edge, waiting for someone, or something, to come and hurt them. Finally, after days of relentless fear, the couple managed to escape the woods and make it back to the road. They were relieved to be out of danger, but the traumatic experience stayed with them forever. They vowed never to take the wrong turn on a dark and unfamiliar road again. Story 3, my name is Jay, and I'm a businessman from Mexico. I recently had the opportunity to go on a business trip to the United States, where I was staying in an old, luxurious hotel in the heart of the city. I arrived late at night and was looking forward to a good rest during my stay. Little did I know that I was about to experience a terribly terrifying nightmare. As I was trying to fall asleep, I suddenly felt strange. It was like a hypnotic trance, and I couldn't move my body or make any sound. I wanted to call for help, but no matter how hard I tried, I was completely powerless. It was at this moment that I began to experience a series of surreal and vivid nightmares, each more horrifying than the last. My worst dream started with me walking through a dark, winding alley riddled with trash and pools of unsanitary water. I made my way through the darkness, careful not to get too close to the walls, where the plaster was crumbling and exposed rusty wires snaked along the edges. I eventually reached a door at the end of the alley, which seemed to be the source of an unearthly glow. When I opened the door, I felt a rush of icy wind that brought with it a foul, oppressive stench. I stepped inside, and in front of me was an enormous, sinister room filled with an array of strange and dangerous creatures. I was completely paralyzed with fear, and I could hear a sinister laughter echoing throughout the room. My heart raced as the fear spread throughout my body. I could see these creatures were advancing toward me, and I knew that if I stayed there any longer, I would be killed. I screamed with all my might, but nothing happened. I was utterly powerless. Miraculously, I somehow managed to wake up from this nightmare. It was daybreak and I was drenched in cold sweat. I quickly checked the clock and saw that it was morning. It was then that I realized I was still in the hotel. I was so relieved that this had just been a dream. However, the horrific nightmare still haunts me till this day. To this day, I am unable to shake that intense fear of the unknown that I experienced in that dark alley and foul-smelling room. One thing I am sure of is that I will never forget the frightful image of those strange creatures leering at me that night.